I am your host, Frank Coto, owner of Lincoln Lending Group and 813 Mortgage, and I am joined in studio with my incredible co-hosts, Ryan Pelky, the owner of TampaBay Plumbers, and Doug Ford, the owner of Suncoast Roofing Solutions. How are we doing, guys?
Still working out the
audio, little issues audio over here.
Man, I feel good in the host seat. They never have audio issues.
So I think we should drag our producers out of the studio right now.
Yes. Oh, wait, it's a live show. We can't do that.
Okay. At break.
No,
Okay.
we're working on that, guys.
Everything's good.
You come in loud and clear. And we have an incredible guest today. I was going to announce her later, but, a lot of times we chime in with funny stuff in the beginning, so it's probably appropriate that I tell everybody who that voice is, right? So, Nicole Stokes, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yes. Get on that mic so we can hear you. There you go.
Okay, there I am.
Much better.
Woo,
now
okay,
you sound
here
good.
I am.
Here's Nicole. So Nicole Stokes, I'm going to tell everybody who you are and who you're with a little bit later in the show. We got to save that right now.
Sounds
good.
But
that is Nicole Stokes' beautiful voice here, and she's going to be chiming in on the show. And come the second half of the show, we're really going to focus on her business advice. Where does she come from? What her story is, and what can we all learn from the 2018 Businesswoman of the Year nominee? Little teaser there. So you guys can try to figure out who she is before we get to that part. So, guys, I am the host of the show. Ryan and Doug, we're the co-hosts here. They're all successful business owners. We are three very successful business owners who every Wednesday we take an hour out of our day at 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. to talk to you guys about our stories, our experiences in business, and we share our knowledge about entrepreneurship. Most shows, we're going to introduce you guys to a self-made business person. Some of them are going to be millionaires, some of them multimillionaires. Maybe one day we'll get a guy on the show that has a B by his name. We'll really figure out what it takes.
His name
to
or the...
Well, by his bank account, really. I think it is. And Tampa has a few of them, guys. We have a few of these guys in Tampa. Billionaires is what I'm talking about now. Billionaires, almost the new.
We have a
million.
list of those.
We got to get a list of
I
our
actually
Tampa
do.
guys.
I have a full list of it. So
Doug carries it in his wallet. There you go. That's a business tip right there. If you want to be successful, can carry a list of people who are more than successful than you in your wallet.
actually, I have the one that's all in Florida.
I want that list.
Across
Can I
Florida.
have that list?
Oh, wait a minute.
Ideal clients.
That is an ideal
There you
client for
go.
most of us. Yes, except for me, because guys with billionaires don't normally get mortgages. So,
Are you getting Fannie Mae?
You're limited to 400,000. Is that going to work? Yeah, probably not. So anyway, guys, we're going to have all these guys on here. We're going to be giving you some advice, real-world advice. We're not making this up. We're three businessmen ourselves. The people we have on are successful business people. Not all successful business people have been successful all their lives. We all have stories. We've all gone through ups and downs in business, but that's what it's about. That's what the entrepreneurial dream, the American dream, is about. It's about trying and learning from your failures and becoming a success. So every show in the last segment, you got to stay tuned for that, because we're going to give you the business tip of the week. We're going to come up with scenarios of success, scenarios of failure. We're going to talk to you guys about what did we do. We're going to encourage you to call into the show and discuss your personal experiences. Ask questions. We want you to become a part of our show. How do you call the show? Very easy. Get out your pen, or just remember this. It's 877-897-TALK. 877-897-TALK. T-A-L-K. Give us a call. We will put you on the show. You might have to hold for just a minute or two to get into the next segment where we're going to put you on the show. Now, if you want to be a guest on the show, business owner, or you've got a great story, we like our local guests, local celebrities, just local everyday guy. I don't care if you own the Shell station on the corner. You've been in business 20 years. You have something to share with us and our listeners. You can email us at bhhiheart, bhhiheart@gmail.com, and we can talk to you about being a guest on this show. So, what are we going to do about the show today? We're going to start with a little opening monologue here, and then we're going to do a little recap about last week's show. If you missed the show, it was a great show. We're going to talk about that here with Doug in a minute. Without further ado, friends, Christmas time is here. Many of you as business owners, this is the busiest time of year for you. And I know that you don't have to be a genius to recognize that is a time that you need to put in the extra hours. Many of the malls, they're open early, they close late. They don't do this for fun, guys. Many companies realize that they can earn as much money in November and December as they can in the first quarter and a half of the next year, okay? This is why they're hiring more people. This is why they're working extra hours. So if we all know this notion of working a little harder or spending a little more money can bring you greater profits, why don't we do this throughout the year? It's basic math, right? If you don't spend the money, then the money's not going to come. But if you do spend it, usually you have a return. So we've discussed this exact topic many, many shows before, And what's the first thing that a company always does when things get slow? Guys?
Cut. They want to cut.
They want to cut. They want to cut something. So let's take that back. What's the worst thing that a company can do when times get slow?
Cut advertising.
Yeah. Boom. That's right. Cut advertising. So right now, you're not even thinking about it if you're any type of retail business or restaurant business or service industry, because let's be real. All you have to do is turn on your lights right now, and you're going to have a flood of customers coming in. But what happens in January and February? For my business, these are generally the 2 slowest months of the year. However, things start to pick up in the spring considerably. So if this is your business, what are you going to do to cover the slow months? Do you run specials? Do you send out coupons? Whatever you do, don't stop advertising. You have to prepare for the slow times. You have to understand your clients and understand their spending habits. But most importantly, make sure you prepare for the slow times. How do you prepare? Well, the first thing you can do is you can have the money in the bank. That's about the same thing your grandparents told you and hopefully your parents told you. A penny saved is a penny earned. Remember that? If you're not saving, you're not preparing. Every business is going to go through a slow time, whether it's January and February, if you're in the mortgage business, or let's say it's April, or any month but April, if you're a CPA, or let's say it's the dry season, if you're a roofer. One of the main reasons that businesses fail is they don't have the savings to get them through the slower times. So today's guest, Nicole, is a perfect person to talk to about preparation. Nicole Stokes is a managing director with Northwestern Mutual. She owns and operates her own Northwestern Mutual office, and she's been in business for many, many years. I'm proud to say we have her in here as a nominee for the 2018 Businesswoman of the Year. Congratulations on that, Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, absolutely. So in the second half of the show, we're going to get in very detail with Nicole's story. We're going to learn a little bit more about her, and we're going to learn, how did you get nominated as this position? You told me some things at our pre-production meeting that I didn't know about you. I'm going to save it, but very, very exciting things about how hardworking you are, your work ethic, and what gets you there. But before we do that, last week's show, Doug and I were talking before the live show today about last week and what did we take away from last week? What are some of the things that Chris Ariola, the On Swan owner, taught us about business and about moving forward in life?
Well, I mean, it's obviously, hopefully, if people listen, the thing they would have taken away is that Chris really started from the bottom up. When you're trying to get into business, you want to have someone that shows you what to do and give you like a guide or a mentor.
Right.
And that's what he did. He started not cleaning kitchens. We started as like a
dishwasher.
Dishwasher at Outback, and he went from that and he kept moving up the ladder, and he really got paid free training. And I think that's one thing to take away is if you're in college and you want to start a business, get an internship, whether it's paid or free. You literally are getting paid or you're learning how to start a business.
So I want to bring something up there. You said paid or free. A lot of people, I think, look at internships as it's just an unpaid job. I'm volunteering.
And they're getting free training.
Right, and there's a value to that, right?
Lots of value.
Ryan, you spend a ton of money training people every year. I mean, you guys have tons of employees, and you've told me before that one of the most expensive things you can do is bring on a new employee.
Well, yeah, I think it is for most businesses. I mean, turnover in most businesses is very expensive. But, for us in trades, I mean, we have a heck of a time finding really good talent. So oftentimes we have to cultivate it organically and bring it up from the bottom. You have to bring kids in. And so what I look for is a great work ethic more than anything else. If someone's eager to learn and is a hard worker, that's someone I can train my program to them. They haven't developed any bad habits. And you can just teach them the right way to do it.
So as a business owner, if you're looking at a guy who has been a plumber for 15 years, or you're looking at a guy who wants to get into plumbing, what's your opinion? Do you go with the guy who already has some of this training? Is that better for you?
I think it depends what position you're looking for.
Okay,
I think
fair enough.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it depends on what type of person you are for sure. But, if you want to be a business owner, I think it's important that you first try to understand what the best in the industry is doing. And you want to duplicate that and then find the areas where they're lacking and try to make it better. I think that no matter what, whether you're a plumber, you're a financial advisor, you're a roofer, a mortgage broker, if I was wanting to be one of those trades, I would want to find who is the best in my market, figure out what they're doing, and then try to figure out what they're not doing as well as I think they could and try to make it better.
Right. And I personally think about Chris's story last week and how, Doug, you brought up the fact that all of this experience gave him the training and the tools in his tool belt
So think about this. Imagine if he didn't work for Outback and like where he'd be at today if, say, he took a job as a financial advisor or whatever he did.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
He started his own restaurant.
but I'm saying, you think he'd be a restaurant owner right now?
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Well-
I just think that the steps he took by starting from the ground up, it gave him all the tools necessary to be successful in what he does
And that's
today.
the takeaway, guys, is that anybody can start a business. But do you have the tools and the knowledge and the training to start that business?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, I think that it's a perfect example of there's a lot of different pathways to success. I mean, just because Chris made it this way doesn't mean that had he started up a restaurant when he was 23, yeah, he would have made a lot of mistakes, but he could still be a success. It's just, I think the main ingredient is hard work and an unrelenting, just never give up attitude.
See, and right there, it's the glass is half full mentality that the Bring Us Business Happy Hour brings to you guys every week. We're never going to tell you that it's an easy thing. We're never going to tell you it's impossible. We're going to tell you that hard work is what it takes to become a business owner. And you're right, Ryan. Chris may have succeeded if he started at 23, but I know one thing.
He's a really smart guy.
Smart guy. It's
Yeah.
a lot easier when you have the tools to do it. Guys, stay tuned to the next segment. It's going to be yours truly finishing up my story last week, and I'll give you a little clue. I did have to buy out a couple partners, and business did not go the way that I thought it was going to go right before the Great Recession. You're listening to the Business Happy Hour on 1250 H&Z, 970 WFLA, and iHeartMedia. Ask them to pay the Business Happy Hour on Alexa, and you can hear our podcast 24/7. We'll be back in a minute. Hey guys, welcome back to the Business Happy Hour. Don't forget, if you want to be a part of the show and you're listening live right now, we are live. You can call us at 877-897-TALK, 877-897-TALK. And if you want to be a guest, it's bhhiheart@gmail.com, bhhiheart@gmail.com. So guys, I'm going to finish telling a little bit of the story, or finish my story of what we started last week, of where I came from in business. And then we're going to go into our incredible guest, Nicole Stokes, who is a managing director with Northwestern Mutual. And then starting into the third segment, we're going to talk to her. And Nicole, chime in. If I say anything exciting, tell me I'm exciting. If not, tell me I'm boring.
Okay, I was being bashful, but I will now.
She was, but we told her these microphones do work. So, all right. So last week I started telling you guys, graduated from Florida State with Ryan, got into business, told you how I got in through other people's business. Actually, one of our listeners had lunch with me this week and wanted a little bit of advice on some of the problems that I went through when I was stuck with the decision of leaving my employer and going out into the real world to start a business. So fast forward, I started the business. Everything was great. My catalyst was that my employer did not want to give me the tools necessary. I felt it was time for me to move on because I was not given those tools. So when I started my business, I started with two partners. And I will say, guys, and I think you'll probably agree, when you start with partners, a lot of times it's easier because you've got other people to carry that weight.
There's
right?
obviously positives and negatives with partners.
Yeah, bingo. So positive side is I started with two partners. We're great friends. One was Ryan and I's fraternity brother, Nick Moon, great guy. We're going to have him on the show later in the year, but later next year probably actually. But I started the company. It was easier to start with my partners. We got along, thankfully. Everything was good. Never had any major fights. After so many years, Nick, I think, decided that he wanted to go back into business for himself. He wanted to go back and get his master's, his MBA. So he came to Dan and I and expressed his interest. And at the time, the company was only a few years old, and it wasn't worth millions of dollars or anything. So Nick basically said, "Hey guys, I think I want out. Is it okay?"
It's surprising to me though, because I would imagine that, just knowing you, and not to take anything away from Nick,
yeah.
but that you would be carrying the load of the sales and the new clients. And so if I'm Nick, I'm thinking, boy, I want to stay on this gravy train as long as I can. Why on earth would he have wanted to get off that?
Ryan, I asked myself that exact same question.
Well, was it a gravy train then?
So it was doing very well. Remember, in the early 2000s, doing a mortgage, all you needed was a heartbeat and some fur on your back, and you could get a mortgage.
I guess the question is, did you take a lot of the commissions from those deals that you closed and brokered yourself?
So, and this is a great lesson for business owners.
Right. Very important lesson.
Very important lesson. When I started the business, we were 33.
Of every deal.
Of every deal.
Clearly not fair for you.
Clearly not fair for me. Ryan knew that, knowing me. I was the one born and raised here in Tampa. I was the one with the connections. I was the more salesman guy of the group. Nick was, I would say, he was more like the financial brains in putting the pricings together and things like that, and doing the mathematical things. Remember, I hate math if you listen to the first show, which is insane why I'm in mortgages. Now I love it, right? But I didn't like it, so Nick did that. Dan was more the manager guy. Dan did the paperwork, filled out the applications. He did the behind the scenes managerial type stuff, and I was the face. Okay, so Ryan just preempted a problem that we ran into. We got along. We didn't fight. We didn't have issues. But all of a sudden, after a couple of years, and this is before the buyout of Nick, I looked at the books. And I'm like, whoa.
Those are all my deals.
Yeah. At the time, the company was probably bringing in, let's say, $400,000 a year. Okay, not too bad for a few guys first starting, right? And I'm looking like, whoa. So after all expense, I made less than six figures, but I brought in 72% of the revenue.
Yeah. So this is why it's so important. If you're going to start a new business, you have to keep that in mind in the beginning.
You have to structure it properly from the
If you don't structure it right from the beginning, it's going to lead to a lot of bent feelings.
Right. Now, I keep going back to, this is a lucky thing for me that we were friends. And and sometimes in business, friendships get spoiled. They didn't. They never got spoiled. And that's a nice thing that happened. It doesn't happen with everybody. Have you been in business with people, Nicole?
No, I have not.
Okay.
But I work with a lot of people that have been, and we've seen it get spoiled.
You've seen it happen,
yes,
right?
I've seen it happen.
So you're doing your business. I realized it. So what I did was I told the guys, listen, that's not fair. We have to renegotiate. I hate doing that to people, but we have to renegotiate, and I need to receive a commission. So what we did was, and this is probably still unfair to me, I said, okay, 30% of the commission on every single deal is going to go to the person who brought in the deal. And then the rest goes into the company and is split by the company, which gave me a chance to go ahead and start earning some real money. And that worked for a year or so, and I was happy. So then Nick came with the idea, and he said, hey, I want to go my own way. And honestly, at that point, the business was rolling. And the question comes up, Ryan, Nick, why would you do that?
That's why.
Why would you do that? We're friends. Nick wanted to go. He felt that he was leaving us because he did have an important position in the company. I'm not taking that away at all. He was very important to the company. And he knew we'd have to pick up the slack, which was going to hurt my production. So Dan and I bought Nick out for a very small amount of money, let's say, comparatively to where everything is now. Everything worked out great. Me and Dan ran the company for a few years. Then we kind of got back into that same question happened again, except for this time, and nothing against Dan, but I just felt that the company, everything was skewed my way, just too far. And at this point, I'm looking at my business partner, my 50% business partner, and saying, man, Dan owns 50%. He's making 50% of all the profits, yet now I'm driving like 80% of the business. So Dan's basically...
Did you still have that 30% split? And then
we did.
Okay.
We did. We still kept that. Now, of course, there was more left over at the end at that point. So, I mean, we're both doing great. Now, sadly, this was in late 2006, early 2007 when we started negotiating, and it came down...
Great time for him.
Great time for him. So that was the biggest risk I ever took in business at this point. It was, do I try to buy out Dan at this point knowing where the industry is headed?
Right.
And I mulled over this, did all my math, talked to my financial people, and I realized, you know what, if I'm going to do it, I got to do it now. I think I have enough business that without, the 30%, I mean, I could essentially hire a manager to do this for probably a third of what I was paying. So I had room to wiggle, okay, right. Wiggle room. So Dan and I went our separate ways, and from that day forward in late 2007, I was the sole owner of Lincoln Lending Group. What happened the next year? The great crash, right? The great whatever you call it, the great
recession.
The great recession.
Having always known you, though, you've always ran a very tight operation. You don't have unnecessary expenses, and I think going into a down market, low debt, cash companies are going to succeed. People that have high expenses are going to fail.
Bingo. And we did have very low overhead, which was a good thing for that. So I'll fast forward this and I'll finish it up when we come back in about a minute or two. But basically, I did buy out Dan at that point, and then I started running the company. The recession hit, and I'm going to pick that up in the next segment of how did I survive the recession. And then we're going to go into Nicole Stokes with Northwestern Mutual. She has some great business stuff for us, and she is 2018 nominee for Business Woman of the Year. So stay tuned to the Business Happy Hour. And don't forget in the fourth segment, the Business Tip of the Week. And I'll give you a clue. Cash is king, guys. If you don't have cash, you're not the king. Stay tuned for the Business Happy Hour. We'll be back in just a minute with Nicole Cruz from Northwestern Mutual.
Now, a 1250 WHNZ Market Update.
I'm Jessica Ettinger, CNBC. Markets are rallying on word that China will loosen up business rules for foreign companies and a trade war deal might be near. The Dow is up 1.5%, up 356 points. The Nasdaq up 2%, up 152 points, and the S&P is up 1.5%, up 41 points. Almost half of all CFOs in the U.S. believe America will be in a recession by the end of next year. The Wall Street Journal cites a survey of chief financial officers by Duke University who blame trade war tensions. Buy online and pick up in the store. It's a big thing this holiday season, but HRC Retail says a survey of top 30 retailers found the pickup service is not dependable. There's a disconnect between what the website says is in store and what's really in store to pick up. Mega Millions, the jackpot now more than $250 million for Friday night. CNBC.
Are you a stock or options trader looking for real trading strategies that you can use immediately? Hi, my name is Scott Bauer, CEO of Prosper Trading Academy, and I'm on a mission to become the #1 options coach in America. I'm a former vice president at Goldman Sachs. I have over 25 years of options trading experience, and right now I'm giving away my most famous options guide with over 20 unique options strategies that I use every day for free. You can't buy this guide anywhere. To claim your free options trading guide, simply call 855-8.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458. or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too.
From the Train Traffic Center, powered by Burgess Heating and Air.
An accident eastbound on Dr. King Jr. Boulevard blocking the traffic at Lakewood Drive. In Pinellas County, have a bad crash on Betty Lane at Palmetto Street. Also direct on 49th Street at 126th Avenue North. And there's right lane construction southbound on the Suncoast Parkway north of State Road 54. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Edward Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line at 866-545-9595.
This report is sponsored by Burlington. Make your Burlington store your one-stop holiday shop. Save on great gifts for everyone, like watches, gift baskets, wireless audio, sweaters, drones, toys, the brands you love. Up to 65% off other retailers' prices every day. Burlington. Gifts for everyone.
Hello, it's Ryan Pelky with TampaBay Plumbers, and I want to tell you about our drain cleaning services. We always include a video inspection with our drain cleaning service, and that's because it's the most important part of the job. Imagine going to the doctor and only being treated for your symptoms. Proper diagnostic will save you time and money when it comes to plumbing or just about anything else. We are the straightforward company and never bait and switch like our competitors make a living on. Call 813-PLUMBER. That's 813-PLUMBER for all your drain cleaning needs.
From the Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer Weather Center.
Your Tampa Bay area forecast. Sunny and warm, high 67. Clear and not so chilly overnight, the low 53. Tomorrow, an increase in humidity, mostly sunny and a 10% rain chance, high 73. For news, weather, and traffic anytime, tune to News Radio 970 WFLA.
This report is sponsored by Bob Evans Refrigerated Sides for the holidays. This holiday, make Bob Evans side dishes your time-saving secret with mashed potatoes and other holiday favorites made with real milk, butter, cheese, and potatoes. They're delicious and ready in 6 minutes. Get Bob Evans sides in your grocery store. It'll be love at first bite.
You're listening to the Business Happy Hour with Frank Coto, Ryan Pelky, and Doug Ford. Now, back to the show.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Business Happy Hour. Don't forget, if you want to be a part of the show, pick up the phone and call us, 877-897-TALK, 877-897-TALK. So we've got Nicole Stokes, not Nicole Cruz. Sorry about that. Nicole Cruz, you are one of my realtor partners, and if you're listening, hello, how are you doing? But Nicole Stokes is the 2018 Businesswoman of the Year nominee and the managing director for Northwestern Mutual, and we're going to hear her story in just a minute. But finishing up what happened to me in my story, bought out the partners, recession, the great recession came. Not too good for the mortgage industry, got to say, because we're the ones who caused the
I don't
great
think
recession.
it was too good for any industry.
For none of us. For none of us. So here I am, bought a business. Everything around me is falling. I had about 10 employees at the time. And I realized very quickly, Ryan said, I know how to run a frugal business, which is true. And I figured out, where I had to cut the weight. And I did. And I got rid of people. I told people I'd have to cut back on things in order to survive. So I saw the writing on the wall. What I did when everyone else left the industry, I found myself on top of the mountain. I'm like, wow, I'm like one of the last mortgage brokers around. Everybody hates banks. All the mortgage brokers who got in the last 5 years are gone. I had to find a way to make myself differentiated from the banks. And what the banks were doing at the time were charging more fees because of the new compliance laws, because of the crash in the economy. All the feds came in and did new laws. I had to find a way to do something different. So I decided, you know what? Let's try this whole volume thing. Instead of trying to make a bunch of money on each deal, why don't I cut back the fees? Why don't I charge people no fees instead of making money that way and from the lenders? Because, guys, mortgage brokers and banks make money on your rate already and from the lender. When they sell you a deal, they don't have to charge you fees. So I took another major risk. I said no fees. I started advertising it to all my realtors. Next thing you know, the next year after I made that decision, which was 2009, my business doubled.
Wow.
2010, it doubled again. 2011, it almost doubled again. And it's continued to go up every single year since then. And I contributed to the fact that I found a way to differentiate myself. So that's the takeaway of everything I went through. I could have been one of those guys who fell down the pipe like the rest of them, but I found something to set myself apart, and I did something different, and it was a risk, but it has paid off. So what do I do today? I still do that for the clients today. I don't charge them any upfront fees, no broker fees, no origination fees, no bank fees. I still can make money, and we can still make good money, but now I can do more business than I was doing before because I'm getting referral business that I was never getting. Makes perfect sense. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and the other thing you got to do to differentiate yourself is I came up with, I had to have more programs. A lot of banks and people focus on one line of business. I decided to offer every product for everybody. so that we are an expert in everything. And that's my takeaway from you guys as entrepreneurs is watch out for the trends, be prepared, make some decisions, even if they're risky ones, and stick to your decisions and see them through. And also save. And that's why we have Nicole Stokes on the show today, because Nicole probably knows how to save better than I do. And as a business owner, just like it is important for you individuals, you need to save money. You need to be ready to weather the hard times. Later in the show, Doug and Nicole and Ryan and I, we all had a good discussion before this, which I told them we need to have on the radio about saving and what are our practices at the end of the year. But before we go into the end of the year practices, I want to hear from you, Nicole. Tell us your story. Where did you come from? How did you decide to take the leap and to choose a line of work that relied solely on you?
Yeah, sure. So, by the way, thanks for having me. This is fun. This is a great start to my Wednesday. So I'm almost a Tampa native. I've been here since I was 6 years old, so I feel like that's pretty darn close to that too.
That's better than most. Yes.
Yeah, right. And I guess my journey really started probably at the end of college. So I went to FSU. Go Noles!
All right.
A couple of Noles fans here. I got my BA in psychology. Like most college students, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and so a psychology degree sounded really easy and made sense at the time. And I felt like I could use that to open the doors for a lot of different things. And then after realizing that you get paid nothing with just a BA in psychology, I decided I should probably go back and get like additional education because that just, spending more money on tuition, that sounded smart at the time.
We always said the psych majors were the ones that just wanted the easy out.
That was the case.
Mine was even easier. It was sociology.
Oh my God!
We're in the same boat.
Or that or criminal justice.
That probably was too. So all three of us sat there and we said, it probably like you. I said, "What's the fastest way to the door?" And you met with a counselor.
You guys should have taken mine. I didn't even graduate,
Ryan
so
just opened the door.
Yeah, I'm a college. I'm the college dropout in the group, so I spent less than all you fools.
I did marketing and business major, so at least I went some sort of.
You got like a legit degree.
A legit degree. All right, so now you got this degree. Now you decided you need more education. What'd you do?
So I went and actually got my master's in public health, which I know sounds like completely random. But I was like, what do I like to do? I like to work out. I'm like really into like making sure I eat a certain way. Maybe I can get a job doing that. So got my master's in public health and then spent probably a year working in hospitals and local mental health institutions and realized this is not the calling for me at all. And at that time, I joined a program called the Young Women's Leadership Board, which is basically it pairs you with a mentor in the community. It pairs young women with a mentor in the community that are having a lot of success in the Tampa Bay area. And so I joined that program thinking, well, maybe I can get some guidance here. Maybe someone will be able to tell me what I should do with my life. I was having the young, where should I be going conversation
So
with myself.
how old were you at that time?
23.
Okay.
You met a lot of doctors and people in the medical industry, right?
I did. I met quite a few of them.
Probably
which was
is helping you out
now, right? Yeah, hindsight. But so I joined that program, and it actually introduced me to a not-for-profit organization that hosted the program called the Ophelia Project, and I fell in love with the Ophelia Project and everything that they were doing in the community. And so I started volunteering there, like free labor, right? Like I was doing some free labor, and they eventually asked me to work there. And so starting from like a part-time job, program coordinator, I think is what I was, and I ended up being the acting executive director when I left there to start my own financial planning practice in 2011. And I really made that transition is I just had a baby in 2011, my first daughter, who's now 9, and I was realizing that I had a false sense of security that I think a lot of us have by being employed by someone else. And what I mean by that is the recession was happening. I was making a lot of layoffs, not because these people weren't amazing at what they did, is more because we didn't have funders and donors that were willing to support the work because they were being hurt financially. Mm-hmm. So instead of relying on someone else to pay my paycheck, I knew myself. I knew I was a hard worker. If I didn't know something, I was going to learn it. I kind of proven that already in terms of my BA to my psychology to public health. And so I started looking for careers that would allow me to have more flexibility as a mom, to have a schedule that allowed me to be present, but also an opportunity to impact my income so I could have a lifestyle that I've really chosen to have.
So your catalyst was that you needed something to allow you to live the life that you wanted to live with your family.
Yeah.
And you knew you had the drive.
Yes, I wanted to design my life. So often we let life happen to us, and I wanted to design what my life looked like. Absolutely.
I think in there's so many people in this world that hate their job.
Yeah.
and you're living every day. You're a negative person because you don't like what you do 8 hours a day. So, designing your life, designing what you want to do is obviously the way to go.
So in our intro, it says we're the guys who are going to teach you how to live to work, not live to work. work to live, not live to work, right? Yep. Or something like that.
We all like to work. I know that.
We all like to work.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Really?
About it. Yeah, we all do.
But you can't
I
not
do.
like
I like to play
work.
golf. I like to travel. I like to
This one doesn't
boat.
work hardly at all.
I mean, come on. I don't like to do any of
He
those
rarely
things.
works.
Wait a minute.
Frank and I like to
Nicole,
drive.
we're
Frank
looking
and I
for
like to
someone else on the show that likes to work. Speaking of hiring and firing, well, you can't hire.
Well, see, guys, do you guys want to work 2 hours a day like me, or do you want to work 8 hours? I mean, come on.
I'm with
I
Doug.
wish I worked 8 hours. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. No, I'm with that. But so your catalyst, it's what a lot of, like before the show, Dr. Garko asked, what is an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
And you just answered the
great
question. It's a great question. An entrepreneur is a million different things.
Yep.
But it's a person who wants, what did you say? You want to design your own life.
I want to design my life. Yeah.
You decided you wanted to design your life. And you decided the only person who can do that is you.
Absolutely.
So how the heck did you go from doing that with what got you into being a financial planner and a wealth strategist and all that?
Yeah, so I decided, again, if I was going to design my life, what did I want to do every single day? And I wanted an opportunity that I can have exponential impact, meaning like I don't want to live my life not having a positive impact on this world. That's just not who I am from a character standpoint. So I wanted a helping career. I wanted to make really good money. I wanted to control how much money I made. And then I wanted something that gave me flexibility to be the mom that I wanted to be. And so when I looked at the careers out there, there's not many that really offer that at all, by the way, FYI. So I was already a client of Northwestern Mutual, an advisor at Northwestern Mutual, and I was sharing with her because we were updating my financial plan. And she was like, have you thought about doing this? And I literally thought she was crazy. I was like, I have no financial background. And she basically said, we would rather take someone with a work ethic and a passion for what they were doing, and we'll teach you and we'll give you all the tools and the training and the education that you need.
Sounds familiar.
Right? You guys were just talking about that. So I literally took a leap of faith, and I bet it on myself, which is, I always say, invest in yourself. That's the best investment you're ever going to make.
And that was your answer to Dr. Garko.
Yeah.
You said somebody who bets on themselves.
Yep, that's an entrepreneur. So I bet it on myself. And again, it's been a lot of hard, woke up at 4 something in the morning to get my CLU, CLTC, CHFC series, all my series license. I have about 7 different investment licenses. So, I mean, it was a lot of work, but it was totally worth it based on where we're at today because I have that life. I have designed my life that I'm now leaving.
And you have, and you've become very successful at it. And you're happy, right?
I am happy.
And now have you brought other people into the business?
Yeah, so now my new role is I've actually opened up an office where I'm supporting other new advisors who might have the same kind of desire to design their life and then continue to make a larger impact on our community.
That is incredible. Nicole, thank you for sharing that story. So when we get back from the break, I'm going to want to know more about what have you done to impact these lives. I want to know specifically, have you found people like you? Have you found others like you, and are you following that same mentality? And then let's give some advice to everybody listening out there. You gave us a piece of advice in our pre-production meeting that we're going to use as business tip of the week, guys. The clue is cash is king. We're going to be back in just a minute with Nicole Stokes, Managing Director with Northwestern Mutual. And don't forget, guys, listen to our podcast. Podcasts are the thing now. Go to iHeartRadio, find the Business Happy Hour podcast, and listen to us morning, noon, at night. If you can't go to sleep, listen to the Business Happy Hour. If you want to wake up, listen to the Business Happy Hour. But be a part of the show. Call us at 877-897-TALK. This is the Business Happy Hour with Frank, Doug, and Ryan. We'll be back in just a minute with Nicole Stokes. Hey guys, welcome back to the Business Happy Hour. Hopefully you've caught the first few segments that we've been running here, telling my story and listening to Nicole Stokes here, Businesswoman of the Year nominee and a managing director with Northwestern.
Is it honoree or nominee?
What is it?
It was honoree.
Honoree. Okay, well, you know, same thing. You got to be nominated to be honorated
I got
or
a
something,
fancy
right?
plaque. I got a fancy plaque.
Yeah, fancy plaque. I wish I got a fancy plaque. I only got one of those last year. I didn't get one yet this year. So anyway, guys, this is the segment where we do the business tip of the week. But before we go into that, we were having a very interesting discussion at our pre-production meeting with Nicole and Doug and myself and Ryan. And I think I might have brought up the topic saying, hey, you know, the end of the year is coming. And what do you do? Because Nicole and I were talking about saving. And we're saying, hey, look, businesses have to save. You save at home. Why do you not save for your business? You're crazy because that's your livelihood. You got get enough money to get past. So for me, I make sure we save money so we're okay for January and February. My CPA tells me a lot of times to pay my bills ahead of time, a couple months. And Doug, we were talking about taxes. What do? You get the money out of the account?
Yes. I mean, if I have $100,000 in middle of December, I'm going to pay taxes on that. So what I do is I prepay my marketing, I prepay my insurances, I prepay anything that I know are going to be a fixed expense.
Right.
Therefore, I don't have to pay for next year.
Right, and you were saying you felt like that saved taxes.
No, yeah, you're leaving yourself cash poor for the following year, and you're already because of how you're structured.
I have cash in my personal bank, so I can loan my business back money and then pay it back. Or I have $100,000 line of credit. I can float my business for as long as I need to with my line of credit.
But then you're paying interest on that line of credit.
A very low interest rate.
A low interest rate, but not a no interest rate.
Correct. But a lot cheaper than what I pay in taxes.
I think that in a tightening economy, that could be a risky maneuver, just because you never know how you're going to have to allocate your capital.
But think about this: those are fixed expenses. Those are expenses I'm going to pay whether I'm in business or not. Like if I don't make any money, I'm still going to pay those expenses.
For insurance, yeah, you're right. But I would say advertising, not so much. You know,
why am I going to cut my advertising expense if we have a tightening of the economy?
So you might reallocate it. You might want to reallocate it. So in other words, once you spend the money, you can't go, hey, well,
like my SEO stuff. You know, I mean, that's $1,500 a month. That's $20,000 a year. All right. Well, you're not going to cut your SEO, are you?
No, you're right.
You know, are you?
There are certain things.
Are you cut your insurance on your trucks?
So I would agree with both of you.
Certain things, I see where that makes sense, but you need to be flexible, and uncertain times you need to be flexible to invest those dollars where it makes sense. And you've already decided that before you even realized the state of reality.
Yep. Because I pay a lot more in taxes than I do in the interest that I pay on my $100,000 line of credit.
So I follow Doug, and I sell lines of credit. So great job, Doug. Everybody go get a line of credit. No, but both of you, I think they're both right. I mean,
they are both right.
I do sweep money out of my account because as an S Corp, I'm going to end up paying. Nicole's point was you're paying taxes no matter what if the money's in your account. Doug's saying spend it on legitimate expenses because now it's not taxable income anymore. That makes sense.
And to Ryan's point, yes, I am setting myself for a potential huge tax liability later on, but if we run into a bad economy,
I love deferring taxes, but not at the expense of being so cash poor that you can't be nimble.
I have cash.
Now you're in a different realm than most small business owners.
Right.
So it's important to make that distinction.
Yes.
Most small business owners don't have the capital and the resources that you have, and so that's very important to note. But I think that having cash is definitely king. I mean, you said it in your open monologue, and we argued about it before the show. And I don't think you can possibly argue with that, but I hate paying taxes just as much as anyone else, too. So I get it. I get where Doug's coming from as well.
So that's the business tip of the week, guys. The cash is king.
Or queen.
Yes.
That's why we have ladies on the show right there. No, and it's true. You know, I joke with people in my industry. You know, they ask me, well, why can't you guys just do this? I've got great credit and I got a bunch of money in this and this. I'm like, hey, have you ever heard of the golden rule? No, what's that? He who has the gold makes the rules. Well, who's got the gold? The lender that you're asking for $400,000 from. That's who has the gold. Okay?
Exactly.
So, guys, keep the cash. Okay? Cash is king if you've got money to work with. I'm not saying Doug's strategy is a bad strategy because I've done the same thing. And then he brought up something very, very interesting is as a business owner, you can lend your company money.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. You can actually do that, and you can make a rate of return. Now, the rate of return is negligible because you're paying yourself, so it doesn't matter. But, as long as you're keeping the money somewhere, and I think Nicole's point is good that keep the money. Just don't get rid of the money, right, Nicole?
Yeah.
Or invest it.
Yeah, or invest it. Make it whatever. You have to be smart with money. Wherever you can get the biggest bang for your buck is what you should be doing. But you also have to be pliable.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously, if you start investing in stocks and the stocks tumble, you want to do almost like a laddered CD, or maybe even something like I think my rate's at 1.9% or something I get on my money.
And the point is, you can get that money back.
Yes,
if things go back
tomorrow, I can get write a check for it.
Right now, investing, Nicole. Do you ever heard of the strategy where, I mean, people, I know we don't get into investing, but for me and my business, I look at it and I say, somebody says, well, should I put down an extra $50,000? And I look at them and I say, well, okay, what are you making on your money right now? And if you've got it invested somewhere and you're making 10% on the money, why are you going to take out that money and put it against a mortgage where you're only going to pay 5% interest? So now you're losing 5%, right?
Yeah, there's so people make decisions about money different ways. One, emotionally, what feels good for them. Some people don't think that debt feels good. So for them, just getting rid of the debt, whether or not black and white, it makes better sense for them or not. So I think it depends on the type of person you are. So if on paper you can get a better rate of return by taking on debt or not taking on debt, then that's obviously the smartest way to go.
But you're saying sometimes there's an emotional factor.
Absolutely. And so sometimes it doesn't feel good, so they won't make the decision black and white or logically.
And we've talked about it. Remember, I was like, do I pay off the $75,000 mortgage, or do I invest the $75,000 and make 10%?
Right.
And so it's what's the better,
it's a great point. And Nicole, I never thought about what she's saying, that there is definitely an emotional aspect to it. And sometimes, even though the math is black and white, there is no question that you don't want to take money from 10% to save on 5. They just can't. It just hurts them. It hurts them in their head, and they can't do it. Right? Wow.
I gotta follow up to your opening monologue real quick.
Yeah.
You only got 1 minute left.
1 minute. Go ahead. You got a minute.
So you, in your opening monologue, you said something about the ebbs and flows of business.
Right.
And we've been calling back on all of our existing clientele, and you can fill in the low spots with some of these. It costs a lot to acquire a customer. Once you get one, reach back out to them. Try to sell more products and services, and you'll fill in those valleys with a more steady workflow for your guys.
That's beautiful. For next week, we're going to pick up on that exact thought for the business tip of the week of how to fill some of those valleys during your peaks and valley times of your business. And one of those ways is using the cheapest resource you have for new business, your existing clients. Nicole Stokes, we appreciate having you on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Will you be a guest another time with us?
Sure.
All
Why
right.
not?
I'm glad you had fun on there. So if anybody wants to learn about Nicole Stokes or what she does, feel free to reach out directly to the Business Happy Hour, and we'll get you in touch with Nicole. Don't forget to listen to us on Sunday morning on 970 and our podcast. We will see you guys next